Welcome back, friends, to another episode of Cults, Crimes, and Spirits. I'm Nina.
And I'm Andrea, and today we have a very special guest, our Uncle Brad. All right, our Uncle Brad's here with us. You've known us our whole life.
Yes, you have known us our whole lives.
I have, ain't I?
Over 30 years.
Oh, man.
How old were you when we were born? You were 15 when we were
47,
born?
Nina's what, 32?
I'm 32.
You and Chad?
32. So I'm 47. So I was 15, yeah.
Dang, you were just a boy.
Just a young boy. Man.
Because I was like, why was I called Cletus? And I was like, oh, because my twin uncles were like 16 when I was born. They were a teenager.
Yeah, and I don't know what you had come up with that. Where you got that name?
Andrea got the nickname Cletus. I got the nickname Nino. I was like, wow, you just put an O on the end of my name instead of an A.
Is that what he told you?
Just Nino.
I called you both by your names. I don't know how you got these nicknames.
Oh, yeah. Our Uncle Brad is also a twin. So.
He has a fraternal twin brother, our other uncle, named Chad. So we got Chad and Brad.
But Brad's going to tell us some of his spooky stuff.
And the story is going to originate when they were both together in the room.
Yes.
That's where we're going.
Do what?
That's where it originated for the first story about Memo.
Perfect
so.
intro.
Oh, well, there we go. Then we're going into
Let's
the first
do
ghost
it.
story.
All right. So me and my brother, Chad, of course, my twin, we were asleep and we kind of shared the same room. So we slept. We were sleeping in the same bed. It was kind of like a full size, I think, maybe even twin. I'm not sure, but we were together there. And then in the middle of the night, I woke up and we had my mama's dresser over against the wall. And as I woke up,
so that would be our great grandma.
Yeah, your great grandma.
Yeah. Okay.
Papa Ray's mom, Virginia. I looked over there and we had her dresser there, and I woke up, but I couldn't. I looked over and she was like, there was light around her, and she had her back to me, but she had her hair up and was like in a nightgown. And then I thought that she had a Bible on her lap, is what I was under the impression of, and I couldn't say anything to her and I couldn't talk, but she was over there. And then I saw her for a while, and like I said, it was a glow around her. She never turned and looked at me or anything, but then I turned to get Chad awake, so I turned and started shaking him a lot, and he never would wake up, so I had to end up really shaking him.
He's a heavy sleeper still.
Yeah.
I ended up shaking him a lot, and then finally he woke up, and when I turned around, she was gone. So I didn't really get a chance. I kind of regret not going and saying something to her directly, but it seems like
it's
I couldn't
hard in the
speak
moment. You're just like
talk.
Frozen. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't really speak or talk, so it was kind of, I guess, meant for me to see along, because when I got Chad awake, she was gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure what the meaning of it was, but that was prior to her. I mean, she'd already passed, of course, already had died probably when I was around 5, and then this was probably 9 or 10, so I wasn't sure exactly.
Which she died on my birthday, May 21st, which is kind of crazy.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? I forgot what day it was.
I forgot what day it was.
Yeah.
I always
crazy.
remember it because I'm like,
Remember that?
I was born
Yeah.
years later,
Yeah,
but... And I never knew her name was Virginia Ray. I thought they called her Stella.
Yeah, they call her Stella.
I think it's actually Virginia.
So it's like Virginia Stella, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. We'll have to ask Christy, but I'm certain that it's Virginia.
Yeah.
I think it's what they called. But Stella's always call her Stella, but I don't think that was her actual, unless it was a middle name.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to ask Christy.
Hold on, I can see if my mom knows real quick while we're talking.
Yeah,
I'll be like, hey, do you know what her real full name was? Hey, we're doing this interview, and do you know Papa's mom's full name? Her real full legal name?
Isn't it Stella Virginia Ray or Virginia Stella Ray? I think
that's what Brad
Stella
said. So
Ray.
Brad said
Stella,
he thinks it was
Virginia
Stella
Yeah,
Ray.
I think it's Virginia, but I'm not certain, but I think so.
I think it's one of the two.
It's one of the two. Okay, thanks.
You should be able to
Well,
Google
yeah.
her.
All right.
So we're still right where we
That
were.
was our first story.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks,
for
Mom.
sure, but,
Bye.
I know she went by Stella. Bye.
But yeah, it was kind of odd for me as well when I was young. You know, you don't really understand why you see someone and you can't actually talk. But in that instance,
And
I
the
couldn't
glow
talk. I
around
couldn't
them.
actually move as much. Yeah, she had a glow, and
but you could tell it was her.
yeah,
like,
I just knew it was her, and I mean, she didn't say her name or anything, but I mean, from the back, of course, she didn't. She wasn't old looking, you know. I couldn't tell her hair; it looked dark, but I couldn't tell exactly, you know, the age of her. But it seemed like she was just sitting there.
Did this happen in the house you're in right now?
Yeah, that happened in where our bedroom was. You know, your mom and them had a bedroom on that side, and then we had the bedroom on the next side. Kind of had adjoining bedrooms, and then in that bedroom was where I woke up. And then, of course, when I got Chad awake, when he woke up, she was gone. So it was just meant for me to see, undoubtedly. But it was.
I think she was just coming to check on y'all. She was like, I gotta go check on these twins.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
did you tell, like the next morning, did you tell like Mama and Papa?
Yeah, I mean, I told people pretty quickly. I think I might have even told Chad.
What did they say?
They didn't really comment that much on it. I guess they thought it was just somewhat of my imagination or something that, but I was actually woken up, and it was only me that woke up at the moment. I woke up, I looked over there she was, and then some people said, well, you weren't awake, but I was, because I completely woke up. I couldn't talk, but then I started shaking Chad, and then when I was just shaking him, trying to move him, but then when I turned to him and shook him really hard to get him awake, then she was gone. So,
but it's like when you turned your eyes away for a second, like then she was gone.
Well, I think when he woke up might have been the moment she left.
But it's strange that Mama and Papa didn't comment, because they both have had paranormal experiences.
And they may have. It's just something I didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't.
I wish that we could interview Mama, but maybe if you at some point remember something she's told you, because I know she's told us some crazy things, but we'll see.
Yeah, we were talking. So like, Mama and Papa had this like light come up behind them.
Oh yeah,
in this field. Yeah,
I'll tell you what my mom told me about that.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like our birth is not an accident. Me and Chad.
Yeah.
Of course, Mom. Her mom heard this. She was actually with Christopher, pregnant with Christopher, our oldest brother. You know, died at birth. William Christopher Ray was his name, but born in 1970, and he actually was stillborn, of course, but you know, because he died at birth.
Yeah.
What the story was, Dad didn't really comment too much. He just said yes. It was snow on. Mom was pregnant. They were coming back from Dorothy and Max, and they were walking up the hill. And I don't know exactly where the hill. I don't think it was here. I think it was more like up at that. Was that Glade?
Yeah, Mom said it wasn't here because I thought it was
Glade,
the field where Daphne lives now, but she said no, it was in Glade.
Yeah, it's in Glade. They used to stay at an old hotel or something. There was a place there that they actually rented or something. But they were coming from Mac and Dorothy's, wherever they were living at the time, and they were walking back to the place they lived, and they was coming up a hill, and Mom said this great light come up behind them, and said it just lit up the whole ground, and it was snow on, and Dad said it just lit up the whole ground, and said they could not turn around or speak. They were just in their tracks, frozen, and they said it stayed a while, and then it left. And then, after that, Mom, of course, went through her pregnancy, and then she went to Dr. Schaefer, and she said her mom actually heard her suffering all night trying to give birth to Christopher. What he did, Dr. Schaefer, he put her down as far as put her out, because she had preeclampsia. Mom got that, and she almost come close to dying. She got probably toxic as well, because he let I mean, Christopher ended up dying, and I'm not sure if it was just because they didn't take him in time, or it was just meant to happen. Like Mom always thought it was the death angel that come up behind him, and just took him, and that was a sign that he was going to die. But anyway, her mom actually heard her suffering all night and prayed for her, and she wasn't even near her, but she
That's
heard her all
wild.
night, and she prayed for her. And I think she actually saved Mom's life, because Mom was lost at the time. Mom wasn't Christian at that time, and she ended up almost dying. Dr. Schaefer told her, "You don't know how close you come to dying." She said something about she woke up and wanted to see her baby, and Dr. Schaefer said he's dead, and just put her out again. So it was devastating for her. Dad didn't quite get to see him because he was saying something, he didn't look normal, but the funeral home director, Dad and him said, or Mom said, it was just his knees was peeling, where I guess he'd been in that, gangrene. She got preeclampsia and got toxic as well. She got septic. So she had infection in her blood, but almost died. Surely she probably run a fever as well, but Dad, I think, had chosen to save her. I think they got to the point that it was so bad that he had to make a choice between her and the baby. And of course, Dad chose Mom, but it worked out. Mom always thought it was a death angel. But then we'll fast forward a little bit. I think your mom had Christy and she had Angie.
Our moms.
Yeah, your moms.
That's
both
why
your
we're
moms.
here.
And
yeah.
But she said that Audrey was pregnant with Travis, and she said she went to this revival, this tent revival. Of course, she'd gotten saved prior to this. Now, going to the tent revival, she gotten saved, and I don't know exactly what year Mom got saved. That'd be a good question to find out.
Yeah.
But when she became a Christian, all my life, so it was between I think sometime maybe around Angie's birth, right after Christy was born. I think she might have gotten saved. Yeah, somewhere around there, 75, 74, she probably got saved, because I know she was saved when I was born, 76. So anyway, Audrey was pregnant with Travis, and she had went to a tent revival. And prior to Audrey, of course, Travis is a year older than us, so she went to a tent revival, and she had said that the Lord dealt with her to throw her birth control away. And she said the preacher didn't preach on anything about birth control. He didn't say anything about it. She just felt led to throw the birth control away. So she did, and she got pregnant with us. Of course, Dad was mad because he had trouble. And she said she was sitting at work, and she was wondering, she said she knew Audrey was having Travis, and she said, I wonder if I would have a son. And, my baby be a boy. And she said, her head shook yes. And then she said, I'd like to have, I wonder if it's going to be twins or twin boys. And she said her head shook yes again. And she said she was sitting there at work, and she said that, I wonder if Dr. Schaefer will deliver my baby. She said her head shook no. And she said she went to him and asked him, told him that she was pregnant. And he said, I have quit delivering babies. You'll have to talk to Dr. Glover. So all that came true. And then she said she already knew she is pregnant with twins, but hadn't been confirmed. And then she went to Dr. Glover, and he told her, said, you better have a good explanation before gaining all the weight. And which
is so messed up to say when you know the lady's pregnant anyway.
He was he's a big stickler about them not gaining too much weight.
Yeah.
He was one of these old school docs that he required you to do things, and they've actually put you in bed rest and everything else prior to giving birth. But anyway, she went to him, and he did the ultrasound. I guess it was time or whatever they was doing at the time. And he come back and said, there's two. So he was smiling, said there was two. So she knew she already was going to have all that happen to her. And I don't know, but it was divine intervention. Doctor. So I believe our birth from Christopher to us was divine. She got led to throw the birth control away. She got pregnant, and she thought she wanted to have a son. He shook her head yes, and then twin boys and yes, and then about the doctor, and he said no, and then Dr. Glover was the one that actually delivered us. And so all that seemed to come to fruition, and so seemed like it was divine intervention there, and on that behalf, on that story. So it was kind of neat about sad that our oldest brother died at birth.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if he hadn't, we probably wouldn't be here. And,
Yeah.
I think she probably would have stopped at
Angie, probably. Yeah.
Because Dad told her, said, "I'm gonna take the 2 I got.
Yep,
You can
he
have
was
whatever
about
you
to
have."
leave.
But then when he found out,
Yeah, but
And
then when he
then-
found out he was having twin boys, I think
like,
he was
"Oh,
excited.
yeah, he was
He was
excited.
like, I have
Told-
people to go
told,
coon hunting with
Audrey,
me
Bobby,
and all kinds of stuff. Fishing.
Yeah.
work, help him out with all this stuff." But then we'll go on to. Y'all have anything? I think you had the story about Dad, but I think I have only that one about his dad and Mac.
Yeah.
That's the only
So like this is like my biggest paranormal thing. So when I was about like, I would say I was like 8 or 9, I came up here. I don't know what we were doing. Like you were with us, Andrea, I think, because it was like during the summer.
Yes, I was. It was me, you, and Megan, and we were at Jules, and we were like, I don't know what we were doing. I don't know if this happened before or after, but I know we were like, we're gonna go get a ghost hunting kit, or we had like a flashlight. I remember we had a flashlight.
No, that happened
Okay,
after.
okay.
So like my experience led us to go get a flashlight. Okay, so like me and Megan, because like I don't remember why. Like I know you were with us, but you were like at Jules, and for some reason like me and Megan walked up
Probably to get something.
Mama and Papa's, because like it was like to get
something
I
to
don't
play
even know
with
what.
or something.
But we had to come up here to like a toy or something. So we come up here, and me and Megan's like 3 or 4 years younger than us, so like I don't think she remembers, because I think I asked her about it when we were like teenagers and she didn't really remember. But like we walked in the front door, and like straight across the way the house used to be set up is where Papa had his Papa had a dresser, and he had his like pills and stuff on top of it that he had to take, and he was like right there getting his medicine, and he did that same routine like every day. And so when I walked in and I saw him getting his medicine, I didn't think anything of it, and I said something to him, like probably just like, "Hey, we're coming up here to grab blah blah blah," and he just like ignored me completely, didn't even make eye contact with me, walked into the kitchen, which was like right next to where the dresser was, because the dresser was like in this hallway, and I was like, that was weird. Like it just threw me off, because like he just didn't even acknowledge me.
Yeah, he usually would respond to us. Yeah, he'd be like, "Well, okay."
Yeah, he well, yeah, he wouldn't say much, but he'd be like, "Well," but like he didn't say anything, didn't make eye contact with me. So then I walked into the kitchen, and he was gone, and the kitchen door was shut.
You were like, "Where the
heck
is he?"
There's no way he could have, like, because he would have had to ran, and he wasn't in the best of health.
You would have heard that back door shut.
Have ran. I would have heard it. I would have heard him running, and there's no way, because I mean I literally followed him because I was worried, because I was like, that's weird. I thought something was wrong with him. Like, why would he just do that? Like, ignore me? So I followed him, and he was gone, and I was like, oh crap. And Megan didn't really follow me into the kitchen. Like, she kind of stayed in the living room, and I ran back in there, and I was like, we just saw a ghost. And she was just like, she was even younger than me, so she was like freaking out, and we just like
running,
took off out the door, running back to Jules down the hill. And when I looked up where the shade tree was, which is where Papa would like hang out, and Papa was there. Okay, so there's no way he was even in the house. So that freaked me out even more. But we just kept on running back to Jules, and then we told like you, and I think Stetson and Akeisha and Shannon were there too. Like, we were all playing together, and like I told you guys what happened, and then one of them had the bright idea, like, well, let's go investigate. I don't believe you, and all this stuff. And like then that's when we got the flashlight and like tried to make a paranormal kit.
But we went back up there and creepy stuff happened.
Yeah, and so we went back up here, and so like the window. I remember the window to Mama and Papa's.
It was their old one. It was their like their old bedroom.
Yeah, their old room. Yeah, and so I think it was probably the wind.
I don't know.
But every time
I remember
every time we shine
that door,
every time we
slammed
shined the
and
flashlight
shut open and back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
And then we would shine the flashlight and it would stop. and then we would turn the flashlight off and it would do it again. And I was like, is Papa messing with us at this point? And he was like, I remember we told him about it and he was like, I've been outside this whole time.
Yeah, he didn't even know what we were doing. He was like, no, not even
like,
in the
what?
house.
And I was like, oh my gosh,
like,
what's going on? It's haunted in here. I couldn't sleep in Mama's bed for a while. I was like,
Yeah, same. I was like I was literally freaked out by that experience because I was like, what was this? And I remember then when we told Papa about it, Papa told me that he saw his dad, because like Papa was still alive when this happened. So what it wasn't like a ghost. Recently. Not like I was seeing a dead person.
And it wasn't like he died after that, thankfully.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't like it was an omen or anything, because I mean, he didn't die for like 20-some years. Premonitions?
Premonitions, yes. We're also really bad at pronouncing things, Brad, if you ever...
Yeah. Well, he knows. He's known us our whole life, so he knows. But like, Papa told me this story, and Brad's gonna help me tell it, because like, I don't remember everything.
Maybe we can get some part of it.
Yeah, but he told me like he saw his dad, and which would be our great grandfather.
My grandpa.
Yeah, Brad's grandpa. He saw him, and he wasn't dead. So he had a similar experience.
I don't know how long it was before that he actually passed, but he said he was sitting there in the house, said his dad just come through. The door was in the middle of the house, kind of there on where the bathroom kind of is. There was a door there. And he said he come in, and he come over and sat next to him. And he said a few things to him and talked. And then he just got up and he went out. And he wasn't even there, you know.
How did he find out that like it wasn't him?
It wasn't. I mean, I don't know if he ended up calling him or just going up and seeing and talking to him. But
he was like, "I wasn't there. I didn't come down there."
Yeah, he had told him that he hadn't been down there. So Dad, he never said nothing to Dad. Dad said Dad said a few things to him. He kind of just come in, sat down, and then went out.
That's so strange.
He said it was just very strange, and I don't know how close that was to his passing, but
I don't remember.
I don't know if it was close or not, but it might have been. But then, of course, Mac,
which is our grandpa's
he told
brother.
me before Dorothy.
Yeah. So Brad's uncle, our great uncle.
Yeah. And Dad's brother, and his name was Mac, and he said he took care of his wife. She got Alzheimer's. And he said he was laying there in bed, and said he looked over beside him, standing kind of close to the bed, and it was his wife just standing there. And he said, "Woman, he always called her woman." And he said, "Woman, what are you doing out of bed?" And he looked over beside him, and she was laying beside him asleep. So, and it might have been, like I said, another
because it was close to her
that
dying.
Said her dying, and that might have been as well with Dad. I'm not sure with his dad, but sometimes that happens, I guess. But Mike, he saw her, and he said it kind of flipped him out. But I guess he really didn't. Didn't get seem to be too shook up about it. I guess because he knew maybe she was close to being passing. But anyway, he did see that.
I think there's something going on with the Appalachian Mountains and that river, man.
I don't know, but I know as a boy, they used to pray and things, and there was times I felt evil presences, and I felt them at my house as well. And then I get up and pray and talk to the Lord about it, and then it seems like it goes away.
Archangel Michael's good for that too, like protection, I think.
That's right, Michael. He's the angel of the children of Israel, that's for sure. But he's the archangel of theirs. But it's definitely been a different time and a different place around here because they were Christians, and I think sometimes evil entities may come through and
trying to manipulate you.
And like I said,
there's a lot of graveyards around.
Did we tell about Memos? We haven't done the Memos about her. Did we do that one about Memo?
Which one?
With Audrey now? Bobby's
Oh, yeah.
And so just getting back to that and talking about evil stuff and things happening and the Lord intervening, Audrey was telling me about a time, said that, of course, Memo was Dad's mom, Virginia. She had actually, Lord spoke to her and told her, said, you better get everybody together and pray. Said, I'm going to take your mom, and she's not ready. And said she tried to reach Bobby, and he was in bed, and she was trying to reach out to him. Said her arm would be thrown back when she tried to reach for him, and said she did that like 2 or 3 times, and it would get through back every time. And so what she did, she said she had to take a run and go and jump on him on the bed and
she
get
had
him
to
awake.
Jump on her husband to get him
awake. It's like something was keeping her from being able to talk to him.
Yeah.
And so she got them all together and they prayed, and then they went on up there and checked on her, and they asked her, said something about, are you all right, Mom? Of course, Dad and them, and then their husbands, the ones that weren't children, were with them too, I guess. But they asked her, Mom, are you all right? And she said, well, a little while ago, I wasn't good. I wasn't feeling good, like maybe having a heart attack or feeling really bad. She said, but now I feel all right. So there's times that I think the Lord has stayed the hand of death even because of prayer. And in that instance, with her, there's evil present, and then the Lord trying to help them to get to her and pray. Actually, prayer is a great weapon against the evil that's trying to face.
Because like she wasn't saved when this happened.
She wasn't saved at that time.
But then like they prayed, and it's like the Lord gave her more time.
Yeah.
And then she did end up getting saved.
Yeah, she ended up getting saved after that. And of course he said he told Audrey, said, I'll take her, and she's not ready. And so that was the defining thing there. She's not ready, and I'll take her. And so you need to pray. So the prayer stayed the hand of death, and it also give her, like Nina said, a lot of time to get right and to change. And so that was kind of, I didn't realize they'd done that. There's things that's happened to different members of our family that the Lord has actually shown things that
even
need to be
our
done,
grandfather,
and he's helped in the instance.
Like Papa went through massive heart attack. He went through his appendix ruptured for over a week.
Yeah, appendix rupturing, and he had that.
He broke his ankle, walked out of a whole
and,
mountain over a swinging bridge into a car and up another mountain with a broken ankle
by himself. Yeah,
he went through a lot, but he had a lot of people pray for him.
When his appendix busted, so I don't know, I'm not a doctor, but like I remember when it happened, Mom took him to the hospital, and they told him they couldn't find anything in his blood work and stuff, and he was in a lot of pain. And like our grandpa, like Andrea said, he walked out of a mountain with a broken ankle. Like he wasn't one to complain about
like
pain.
Doctors.
And he was in a lot of pain.
So if he wanted to go to the doctor, he was hurting.
Yeah, and he wanted to go, and they couldn't find anything, so they sent him home. Well, come to find out, like they said, it only usually happens in like kids, in certain cases, because like if your appendix ruptures, usually like you
get septic pretty quick.
Yeah, you get septic, and it can kill you really fast. But like Papa, it did some kind of weird thing where it closed itself off to where it wouldn't get in his like bloodstream, and that's why the doctors couldn't find it, because it wasn't showing up in his blood. And he went back home for like
running a fever though for a while.
Yeah, he was running a fever, and he was like sick, and he went back home for about a week.
Yeah, he told me they give him antibiotic for a UTI, and said he would take that antibiotic, and he said his whole side would get
on fire.
Yeah, on fire, kind of like it's affecting that area. It was burning. He said it would burn. And so I said, Dad, did you have a UTI? And he's like, I said, what did it show? He said, I don't know. That's what they give me.
Just taking antibiotics.
Of course, my mom said he sweated a whole bed, and it popped up there while he's at the garden. I think it popped that night before. And of course, he didn't complain of the pain when they pushed on him and they did the evaluation. And then his white count must have jumped up and then went back down somewhat normal, so it didn't detect it either. So, but I think there's a little Asian doctor, I think in Abden. I think Sean ended up taking him because of the fever, and said that
because y'all had to take him back the second time,
and said after maybe Christy had already taken him that day because they'd treated him for a UTI that he didn't probably have. But anyway, the doctors, she kept him there and said, there's a reason you're running a fever, and said the next morning, said, we're going to have you scanned. And I remember Dad said the gastro people come in and said, well, we'll take you back here and scan you, Mr. Ray, but I don't think there's anything wrong.
Yeah.
And said they got back there and scanned it, and they said his appendix was ruptured, and we're going to get you to OR
Emergency surgery. Yeah, they come back
and
like, said, oh, no.
So
the complete
it was
opposite.
a big different story. So
Yeah.
So yeah.
But it's just like a miracle. I mean, because like that could have killed him easily.
Oh, yeah.
And the heart attack,
The Widowmaker, I remember.
The Widowmaker
was down there the day he died. Actually, was the doctor that was kind of ironic too. The doctor that had a Widowmaker, which is destroy the left ventricle, was the main pump of the heart. Destroyed it 30 years prior, and that doctor that had he saved him. He kind of stabilized him. He said and sent him on the Holston Valley. He was like. I didn't think he'd make it. And then 30 years later, he was there when he died. I thought that was a wild scenario, too.
And he came in and he remembered Papa because it was like such a miracle that he even survived.
Back-to-back heart attacks, he said. And he thought, he ain't going to make it.
Yeah.
But Dad made it 30 years later. But that's prayer. And that's keeping him, Mom's prayers and other people praying kept him here for 30 years.
Yeah. And it was really cool. Like, I mean, it wasn't cool, obviously, because it's when Papa passed away, but it was cool that doctor came back in there, and we got to meet the doctor that saved our grandpa. Yeah, because if like that doctor hadn't helped save his life, we would have never even met him because he had this massive heart attack right before we were born.
Yeah, see, I mean, he's seen his children get married. He's seen his grandchildren being born. He's seen, some of them graduate high school.
He was at my wedding.
And your wedding. Yeah, and he's at our wedding. I mean, these are things and events that he would have never been able to went to unless prayer.
Yeah, and he got to see the beach.
That helped him along the way. Yeah, the beach. And everything.
Oh, and he went on like a 3-week trip with Rocky out into out west.
All that.
Yeah.
And so he got to really see some things by the grace of the Lord. He's with us, and 30 years, later he passed away, which we were all, his heart was just wore out. I mean, it's just done, heart failure, kidney failure. I mean, all those things working together against him.
Yeah. Everything was like shutting down is basically what they were telling us. And he was only 75, but I mean, he could have died at 45, so like we were blessed to have him as long as we did. Even though it was still like hard to say goodbye.
Yeah. We thank God for every day that we had with him.
Yeah.
And there's times you'd want to just tell him something. I mean, he always had stories. He was quiet, but he always had something that he would say. I mean, he had some stories about supernatural things that happened in his own life.
He told me
things like his dad and different ones.
He told me like one time he said first I would ask him about ghosts and stuff all the time because I loved hearing stories. I loved hearing him and Mama tell stories.
You've been like this since you were little, yeah.
Yeah. And so he told me one time he was like, I don't believe in ghosts. He was like, I believe when you die, you go to heaven or hell. And he was like, I don't believe in ghosts. But let me tell you this ghost I saw.
Maybe a spirit or something, or some kind of, like you said, premonition. Of something that might be happening in the future or maybe going to happen. And sometimes with it's divine intervention, sometimes with Audrey, with her mother and different things. There's reasons. I believe myself, being a Christian, I don't believe anything happens by chance. I think if you're at a spot at a certain time, it was part of your destiny to be there, and that was part of your life. And you may never go to that one place again, but I've been places before and stopped off of this place and asked directions or something, run in and see someone I'll probably never see again in my entire life.
Tell this story. Actually, like talking about like, just being in this doesn't really have to do with ghosts, but it kind of gave me the chills because it's just like being in the right place at the right time. It's like God puts you in the right place at the right time. Like you met this guy that was like hitchhiking and like, or something. And like, he was just getting by. He was just like, didn't you buy him food?
Oh yeah. I mean, I have one story about a young girl, and I don't know if she was an angel or what it was, but I was going out one night late. I was a young man myself, and picked her up. She's probably, I don't know, maybe close to 20. I might have been a little bit older, maybe in my early 20s or something. She may have been even 18, 19, 20. I don't know where she was, what age she was. But anyway, we were probably both in her 20s possibly. But it was late at night, like 11 o'clock. and she was down here at Hyder's Gap, and I asked her where she was going, and she said Mountain City. I was like, whoa,
That's
Mountain
a long
City is a
way.
long ways away.
Yeah, it's
I
a
said,
long
what are
way
you
away.
doing? What are you doing out? And she said, well, I can't remember. She said it was her boyfriend or fiance kicked her out. I was like, man, I think I'm about getting me someone else if that's the case. But I took her over there, and sometimes the Bible talks about us entertaining angels unaware. Well, I don't remember saying a whole lot, but we talked and different things, and she said some things, but I remember one thing she said. I talked to her. Of course, when I pick people up or hitchhikers, I try to talk to them about the Lord and about their soul. And I've met some pretty wild characters.
You need to be
some
safe.
Did you pick up
different ones.
hitchhikers
I
more
used
than
to.
once?
I used to.
Yeah.
But I took her all the way to Mountain City. But one thing that stood out to me, she didn't want me taking her up to the driveway. And I didn't look back in the mirror or anything, but I took her to a drive close to where she wanted me to let her out at, and of course all the way to Mountain City, and we just talked about the Lord and different things, and talked about, I guess, the guy, be questionable whether I'd want to continue dating this guy, and if he had left her out and there was no way back, and he just kind of left her. I mean, at that time we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have things that you could just get a good signal.
I'd cry.
and
I'd
get
be like,
someone to
oh
come
my
get
gosh,
you.
I'm in the
I'm
black, dark mountains by myself.
Yeah, man, it was dark.
Like,
I mean,
Hyder's
she
Gap
was young.
is like creepy at night.
Yeah, I mean, she was going kind of toward Logan, but I was like, when I picked her up, I think it was right down in the river, just a little ways up, through there toward the trash dump, and I was like, I just couldn't believe it, all the way to Mountain City. But I ended up taking her there, and she wanted me to let her out at the driveway because she was afraid it would make him angry. And I let her out, and then I never looked back, but I reckon she was all right. But sometimes the Bible says we entertain angels unaware. So who knows? I mean, I picked up a few people in my time, and you wonder. But that was definitely one that makes me wonder if it was not something the Lord, an angel maybe, because I mean, it was just strange and long distance we went, and I can't remember all the things.
And just
we
her
talked
being
about.
out in Hyder's Gap at night.
Alone.
I mean, you just wouldn't you wouldn't do that alone. Like, it's creepy. There's no street lights. There's no nothing.
And then I didn't let her off at the driveway. Of course, she said because I was afraid to make him mad. But who knows? I never looked back, like I said, to see if they disappeared or anything. But it's very possible. I mean, that was one of the strangest, I guess, experiences that I've had as far as just hitchhikers. But I have had a few. One named Briar, I think he called his name, and he drew things. But then the guy that you were talking about
he had like I think he had a cell phone,
yeah,
and he was like he would keep in touch with his daughter, but like he was just going with the flow.
Yeah, I mean, he told me he used to be a hobo. He said he lived in California, and said that he actually had done landscaping and had a home, had a family, had I think he said 2 daughters, I believe. And he said, they give me this cell phone, keep up with me. He said, I went back to, he said, I used to just travel around everywhere. And he said he traveled up north. He was going that way. And I, of course, picked him up and took him up to, I think, Whiffle. I think we got something to eat. And then he was going on. But he had diabetes, type 2. And so his daughters, of course, were worried. He told me that's why they gave him the cell phone. But he said, I've done things. And he said he'd like to do that. So it was kind of wild.
He was just a nomad, I
yeah,
guess.
I mean, he just went back to traveling. I kind of like riding the rails, I guess.
Hopping trains.
I mean,
Nowadays, you shouldn't pick up hitchhikers,
don't do that.
Like, it's not good times now.
I do, but not when my daughter's with me usually.
Yeah. But like Papa, what I was gonna say when he said that he didn't believe in ghosts and stuff, but then he told me this story about this lady. He said this is when he was a kid, that this lady that lived near them, she would go out on her porch every day, because we live in the country, you just throw out scraps off your porch, to the animals.
Dogs,
yeah.
cats,
and
whatever.
so like she would do that every day, and he said that one day she died, and he knew she had died, and then he saw her
doing that
on her porch after she had died, throwing scraps off her porch, and he was like,
no way, that's crazy.
He didn't know what to make of that, but he was like, but I don't believe in ghosts, and when you die you go to heaven or hell. And I mean, he said that several times, even though he had all these other experiences too that we just talked about. But he was very adamant that he just,
some people are like, if I don't believe in it, it's not real.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you got to go back to the Bible and things too. And I mean, they said one time, and I think it was a tsunami that hit, and
Oh, yeah,
said
in, like,
in
Japan?
and there was
Yeah.
dead people walking around. So,
Yeah.
and then when the Lord resurrected, of course, the dead people went in Jerusalem, come out of the graves. Of course, he's able to raise up the dead, but in certain situations, certain phenomena, I think different dimensions may be open.
Portals
I don't
or
know. I mean,
something.
it talks about.
I feel like, like, if you believe in God, like, you kind of believe that there's this other force. There's there is something supernatural,
Well, I mean, the spirit, it says be absent and the body be present with the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you take these people, of course, their spirit is supposed to go back to the Father that gave it, and the body go back to the dust of the earth, and from which it was made, which is what we do. But in certain situations, I think phenomena is happening, like maybe weird natural phenomena happen, and in that sense, people seeing people in Japan that had been dead, and of course in Jerusalem, all those people were walking around. I mean, we haven't had something that do it, but I think we're in the time frame right now, the end time, which we're going to start seeing more supernatural stuff. I think.
I thought about you the other day, Brad. As soon as I turned on the news, it said war in
Israel,
Jerusalem, and I was like,
still waiting for that third temple. I'm sure it's going to be soon.
What about your, like, you were planning on going there?
Oh yeah, I'm still going to go.
There's a war there right now.
After the war's over,
hopefully things calm down.
I felt led to get my passports. Me and Abigail's, and we got those. And it took a while, but we got them. And I still want to go, but I think the third temple. I think something with these wars will come, and then somebody will come in and usher up some kind of peace, and then I think the temple will be built. Who knows the stage of the war? Maybe worldwide war, but we're definitely in the end time, and things are starting to go in that direction. So,
I'm starting to believe it because
a lot of people. Kat Von D. Have you heard about Kat Von D?
Yeah, she got baptized.
Oh yeah, I heard about somebody changed. I seen it on the news, something about change from witchcraft to Christianity.
She was a famous tattoo artist.
I actually love Kat Von D. I mean, even when she was into all the witchcraft stuff, but I'm really proud of her for like taking this next step in her life, because
my friend was like, "Oh, if the celebrities know something's coming, something's coming."
Yeah.
The celebrities probably do know.
Yeah.
But they don't know on the scale. I mean, if they're not looking at Bible, turn the page in Revelations and you can see what's going to happen next.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't get any better. That's what people don't realize. If we really are there, then things are going to get really bad and really bad quickly. And this next year may bring a lot of change that the world's not ready for. But the main thing is be ready, get saved, stay close to God, because there's going to be a trying time and a separating time. And, and that's what we need to do. I mean, it's definitely, you want to see supernatural, it's going to happen very soon.
Yeah. Well, if you're into the paranormal, like, stuff's about to get real. So.
Yeah, it's about to get real.
On a side note, when we were talking about Pawpaw, I wanted to bring up just the weird, I know it's not like paranormal, but the fact that like he just went missing for 3 days and no one knew where he was.
Yeah.
Like that's like no one will ever know.
We never did figure that one out.
He didn't tell nobody.
I only know one time he told me one thing. He said, "Boy, don't ever drink wine." He says
wine specifically.
He said you something about you don't know where you've been and what you've done. And so he just mentioned that to me, and I don't know, maybe that's what.
Like he was drinking wine and he disappeared.
He had some seriously spiked wine when he disappeared.
Maybe he, and then like I said, and he took it to the grave, unless the Lord shows me. I've asked the Lord if it's important to show me something about it, but
he was just being a cowboy, probably.
Revealed that to me. Yeah, he might have been just getting out and doing certain things, but it was strange that he was gone for like, I don't know, maybe a month or two. I don't know, it may have been 3. I can't remember. It was a while. It was quite a while.
I thought it was just 3 days. Was it like 3 weeks?
No, it was like weeks.
Oh, wow.
Dang.
It could have been like a month.
I always thought maybe he like went and joined the circus or something for a while. No, I'm just kidding. Like he would have said that.
I always thought something happened bad, and that he had to escape in a situation, whatever it might have been, from
Yeah.
something that he had to do. Either it was something to
he had burn marks on his
you know,
wrist or
keep from
something.
losing his own life. Maybe he had to do something you know, extreme. I don't know, but it seemed like whatever it was
traumatic.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he had lost a lot of weight. They said trying to get
His
back.
shoes,
And
there
they
was
said
no
he had
soles
things
to them.
on his
He had no
on his
shoes,
feet.
yeah.
They were like there's marks on him, like on his ankles and places, and maybe his hands. I can't remember what they said. Audrey and them said, but said he was so outgoing and laughing and stuff prior to that.
And then he
And
didn't want
said
to be
when
alone.
he come back, he was very reserved, and he went kind of in himself, and he was quiet. And then they said he stayed at home more, and he didn't go out as much. But then when he did go, he kind of wanted, like she said, kind of go with other people.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't like big crowds and stuff. But they were picking at him, my uncles. And I remember my Uncle June saying, did he ever tell you all where he was at for all that time? And I was like, no, I never even knew about it until you just mentioned it.
Yeah.
And I think my brother had talked to Dad and wanted him to tell him, and he told him. He never told his mom and dad, and he said he said he's not going to tell him, and said something about he might tell mom, his wife, before he died, but
he never told her
did.
anything
No.
either.
So I don't know what happened.
It's a
but
mystery.
It was very strange, and the mystery of his life, I guess, a part that he only knows. But I asked the Lord if it was important for me to know, then to show me, but he hasn't yet. So who knows? Maybe it wasn't relevant to what we need to do or know, so it might have just been a part of his life. But he definitely very, very secretive at that time about that, so I'm not sure exactly what it was, but they never did find out either.
Yeah. Well, I think that's about all the ghost stories we have with Brad. Well, thanks for joining us on today's episode.
It's been fun.
Because that was really good. That was fun. We need to have you on more. Like, I don't know what we'll talk about next time, but it was fun.
We covered a lot, that's for sure.
Yeah, we did.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Okay, so just want to say thanks again to our Uncle Brad for joining us.
Yes, thank you, Uncle Brad. Going down memory lane.
It was fun.
That was fun. I enjoyed that.
But now, before we wrap things up, we're going to share a couple more spooky, possibly paranormal things that happened to us.
So, when I was like 11, I had a daybed in my room, and I slept in it. And for some reason, I think we had family in town, or family that had just left, and we had an old air mattress, and it was still in my room, and it made this awful loud noise when you turned it on. It like squeaked really loud. And I remember I was like laying in my bed, and it was in the middle of the night, and something woke me up, and I felt weird. And then all of a sudden that thing turned on, and it was loud, and it was like blowing it up.
Oh no.
And I was frozen. I remember one of my parents came in the room and was like, "What are you doing? Are you just gonna lay there?" And I was like, "I didn't turn it on. I don't know how it turned on." Because you had to go and, like, click the button. It's like, you know, the power surge, how you turn those on and off?
Yeah.
That's how you turn that on and off.
Yeah, so if that's the only way you could turn it on,
something turned it on.
That would have to be something hard, you know? Like
yeah, so I was, like, frozen. I was like, I can't move. I can't talk. Like,
oh, that's creepy.
And it made a loud noise. So it's like, ah. But that's one little thing I remember. It freaked me out for a while.
Yeah.
I was like, keep that shit downstairs. I don't want that shit in my room.
That's in the same house that y'all are in now, isn't it? Well, that's spooky though, yeah.
What about you?
Actually I have a similar story to that. So when I think this will pinpoint my fear of creepy dolls. I was laying in bed one night, kind of like you were, just, you know, sleeping, minding my own business, and I had this doll, and it had this creepy laugh, like,
oh god,
it's kind of a creepy looking doll anyway, yeah, but it was cute, I guess, when I was a kid, but then the more I thought about it, the more I think about it now, I was like, no, it was kind of creepy. But you had to like press on its chest, and it had like a box or whatever in it, and it would like cause it to start laughing, and it would just be like this creepy laugh, and then at the very end it would be like, mama.
Oh my gosh, no.
Still super creepy, yeah.
Just throw that away, far away.
Well, in the middle of the night one night, I was laying in bed and it woke me up because it was going off in my closet, in my toy box. Like, it wasn't going off when I went to bed, you know, it just was all of a sudden going off. And I laid there in my bed freaking out, and because, like, this is the middle of the night, so my mom and dad were asleep, and I was kind of like frozen. I was like, maybe it has stopped.
Yeah, maybe it'll go away.
Yeah, and I thought maybe like something was setting on top of it or something, like a toy shifted, you know, in your toy box and made it go off. So I was like, maybe it'll stop. Well, it kept going. Then I got up and I turned my light on, opened my closet really fast. I opened the back of the doll, pulled out that voice box thing, like took the batteries out, threw it on the floor. Yeah, I was like, I'm done. And I was like, now, I threw it down on the floor and I said, if you turn on again, I'm out. Like, I was like, I was like,
I already took the batteries out of
the battery pack. I took the whole freaking pack out. Because it was like a box in the back of it, and I took the whole thing out. And I was like, if it goes off again, then it's definitely something paranormal. But it didn't go off anymore.
Well, that's good. I had a similar thing happen with one of my toys, but instead of a creepy doll, it was a fucking Furby. But some people think those were possessed.
I remember the Furbies. Yeah, they were creepy. I didn't like them.
Like, mine was in the top of my closet just going off, and I was like, ah. I got rid of them, I think.
I try to think sometimes, like, that, you know, toys, like, if the batteries are going dead, people say, like, that can cause it to start kind of going off and acting weird.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, it's just something.
It felt weird.
Yeah, it felt weird. And, you know, but maybe that's all it was. Maybe that's why I said maybe it was a paranormal story, like some of this stuff.
But still, creepy dolls are a no-go.
Yeah. And now I'm terrified of dolls. And I don't know if I feel like that might have been where my fear came from, but.
Probably.
Do you have another one?
Yeah, so this is a couple of things combined, but for a while in my late high school years, I would invite, like, my friends over, 2 of my best friends and my boyfriend at the time, and we made a homemade Ouija board, and we lit candles, and we used a shot glass as, like, the thing to move over the letters.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and the first person or spirit we contacted said something about someone was an old hag and they killed them with their car. And
what?
We were like, give us the phone number. And it gave us a number and we called it. And it was like, this number is disconnected. And we all like freaked out. And then we did it again and we connected with some spirit that said he died in the bubonic plague.
Oh my goodness, that's so specific.
Yeah, and I think his name was like Volum or something like that. And
that sounds like a creepy name.
Yeah, and we were like, okay. And then I remember one time we were doing it, and one of my best friends, she listens to our podcast a lot. Shout out to Lynette. But
I was about to say, is it Lynette?
She freaked out. Like, something happened and she was like, no more. No, and she like had to go outside, and I was like, yeah, I think you're right. I don't think we should be doing this.
Yeah. Did you say goodbye? And
always said goodbye. And then since they were handmade, we would like rip them up. You're supposed to rip it up, I think, and put it in 4 corners of the room. I don't know. We did a couple things, but we always said goodbye. I won't touch them again. I won't go around them. Anyone talks about playing with one, I'm like, nope, I'm out. I feel like we really like connected to like some weird energies.
My husband wants to do one, and I'm just like, no. I was like, even though I'm into like all this weird spooky shit, that's like one thing I won't mess with.
Yeah, I would not suggest doing it.
And the thing is, they sell this at toy stores, like I think one time I saw one, it was like ages 8 and up.
It
and
is,
like, 8-year-olds don't know what they're doing. They're gonna summon a demon.
Yeah, that's too young. I don't think they should be toys.
No. Yeah, spirit boards are very spooky. I do think they're cool. There's a spirit board museum in Salem that I want to go to.
Yeah, like I like shirts that have them on there and stuff that say cool things, but I won't physically touch one or interact with one ever again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now I'm the complete opposite. I'm like, I'll sage, I'll use Palo Santo, Florida water, moon water. Like, I'm the complete opposite of what I used to be in high school. I'm like, all good energy, positive vibes. In high school, I was like, let's play with the homemade Ouija board.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah.
I don't advise it, people, unless you're into that stuff, but I still would not advise it.
Mm-mm.
Do you have anything else?
Yeah, I have another one in the same bedroom when I was a kid, that the creepy doll incident occurred. I was laying in bed one night and there I would sleep facing the wall like all the time. Like now, my husband can tell you I move around all night, all over the bed, drives
Toss
him
and
crazy.
turn. Yeah.
But like but when I was a kid, I was like super still. I'd usually wake up in the same position I went to sleep in, and I'd be facing the wall. I was sleeping facing the wall, and so my back's to. I had like a full size bed, and so there's all kinds of space on the side of my bed, and my door and stuff behind me. This is why I'm like, this could be paranormal or it could just be my imagination, but I'm pretty positive I was awake. But you know how like some people are like, you're not really awake, you're sleeping,
Yeah,
you dreamed
dreaming.
it or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure I was awake because I would wake up a lot in the middle of the night and like I would lay there and watch my TV. My mom and dad would set a timer, but I'd get up and turn it back on. And I would watch TV. I'd just be awake. I just woke up a lot in the middle of the night, so I feel like I was awake. And I felt, when you feel when someone sets on your bed, like you can feel the dip.
Yeah.
It felt like someone sat on my bed, but my mom and dad were asleep. And it was the middle of the night.
No, thank you.
And my mom and dad, they weren't weird. They didn't come in there and like watch me sleep and sit on my bed.
They were asleep
and I
too.
think I would have heard them. Yeah, I would have heard them talking or something. And like, it was the middle of the night. Everything was quiet, and I just felt this dip on my bed. And I don't know. I just felt like I couldn't look, like I couldn't move. I was like, because I wanted to get up and just run into my mom and dad's room, and I was like, but I gotta run past whatever that is sitting on my bed, and I'll look at it, and I didn't want to look.
Yeah,
I was like,
exactly.
I'm just not gonna look. So I laid there, petrified, and eventually fell back to sleep.
That's good.
That really freaked me out. But then thinking back on it, I'm like, maybe it was my grandmother, because she had passed away like a couple of years before that, and maybe she was coming to like just sit with me, So I try to think of that. That's the only two things that really happened to me in that house that I remember. And that's when I was like 9. We moved in there when I was 9. So I was around 9, 10 years old when that happened.
Old enough to remember.
Then, yeah, it stuck with me. And then moving on to just a few years ago when I worked in news, just for reference, had to be there at 4 a.m. And I lived 45 minutes away, so I had to get up at like 2 something, get ready,
I remember.
leave my house.
Oh, that's awful. Yeah.
It was awful. I felt like a zombie for like 2 years, but I had to leave my house by like 5 or 10 after 3 to make sure that I could get there by 4. And there's no traffic. There was no traffic. That was the only advantage to going into work that early. But I was also driving during the witching hour every day. So
scary.
That was kind of creepy in and of itself. And then there's no one around, and it's super dark, and it was just, I don't know, it's creeping me out anyway. But anyway, I can't believe I did that for 2 years. My drive would be on Interstate 81, and it would, I'd be on that for the majority of the drive. And then like the last 10 minutes, you kind of turn onto this other section. It's an interstate, but it's an interstate going into Roanoke, Virginia. I don't know what it's actually called. I don't remember. But you turn onto that, and my exit was like a few exits down. Well, I got to about halfway between turning on that highway and my exit, and it's not as dark on that highway because there's a bunch of street lights as you get on into it.
Yeah.
This girl just like ran out in front of my car one morning on the interstate. Because this was still an interstate,
That's insane. How did you not hit her?
Exactly. So, at first I was just so pissed. I was like, what the... I was like, where does this person come from? I was like, they got to be high on drugs or something.
Yeah, this is not normal behavior.
Yeah, I was like, are you trying to kill yourself? I don't know how I didn't hit them. And I'm just like, why? And I'm like, why run out in front of my car? Because there's literally no traffic. You could have just waited until I passed and then crossed the interstate, no problem.
Yeah, it's insane
So
behavior.
why run out in front of my car? So I get to work. I'm shook up a little bit by it because I'm like, how did I not hit her? Like,
Yeah.
and I say her because I saw a pink shirt and longer hair, and it looked like a feminine figure. Because I saw it like it was like a flash.
Yeah, a
You
glimpse.
know what I mean? I get to work. I'm like, did anything happen on the interstate? Was there an accident? Did anybody report any like weird stuff going on? Like someone running around on the interstate? We got no calls, nothing. And I was, the more I thought about it, the more I was like, how did I not hit them? Like, what was this? And so then, and then I just kind of let it go. I calmed down. I went to work, put my mind somewhere else. Didn't really think about it too much. Then the next morning, I'm driving to work again, and I get to that same area where it happened, and I'm like, it's open, like, and there's street lights right there, and I'm like, there's no way that I would have not seen her, like, running across.
Yeah, before she got to your car.
Yeah, and it's like I didn't see her until she was in the middle of my car. It's like she just appeared in the middle of my car. Yeah,
crazy.
And
chills.
The more I thought about it, and the more I replay it, I'm just like, I feel like it was a ghost because, like, I just don't, like, I tried to debunk it. I tried looking, like, for, like, probably a week or two after that, I kept looking, and I'm like, there's no way. Every time I would get to that spot, I was like, there's no way.
Yeah, it probably was. I mean, if you didn't hit them and you didn't see them, and there's no explanation to why they'd be running across the interstate.
Yeah.
And they appeared in the middle of your car, sounds kind of spooky to me.
And I didn't see a face, just saw, like, the hair was, like, brown. It was dark. It might have been black. It was, like, a darker color, and then a pink shirt. It looked like a feminine figure, and
maybe it was just out running around, and then you almost hit it, and it was like, ah! Ran away.
I don't know. It was really, really weird. I don't know if anybody died. I looked it up. I tried to find if anybody died in that area, but I couldn't really find anything right off. There were some crashes, though, but I couldn't find if they resulted in fatality. And I mean, that part of the interstate, you're not going as fast. The speed limit, I think, is only 55 down through there. But, I mean, you could die going 25 miles an hour. So, I mean,
exactly.
I don't know. But I didn't find anything definitive to that, so.
That's creepy.
It was very creepy, but that's all the paranormal stories I have as of now. Hopefully I'm going to go on some paranormal investigations next year and hopefully have more to share later.
Yeah, that's all I have from my past now. I try to believe in good things.
Yeah, I definitely don't like negative spirits or anything evil. But I'm very curious as to what happens after we die and the paranormal. And because of the experiences that I have had, that makes me
believe.
And the stories we grew up hearing, thanks to Brad for helping us tell those stories.
Yes.
That's what sparked my interest at an early age in the paranormal. But yeah.
Stay spooky.
Oh, also, we did the damn thing.
We did.
We do the damn thing every Friday, so stay tuned for new episodes every Friday. Follow us on social media if you're not at Cults, Crimes, and Spirits Pod.
We got TikTok, Instagram, Facebook.